Hey, Restore GT viewers. I'm Joe Allen here with Restore GT Podcast. Thanks for clicking on the link for the next episode of the Restore GT Podcast. Unfortunately, this one has no video. So there are video issues. There is some video. It kind of looks like somebody's taking pictures. We had some encoding issues, and unfortunately, it looks pretty terrible. But it was a great conversation with Joe D'Amico, Ray Henry, and Keith Gibbons, and myself. So we did not want to throw it away, and I couldn't find any time to do another recording of it. So we're going to upload it as it is. Please listen to it and enjoy. Thank you, folks, for checking everything out. Please subscribe if you haven't already. What's up, Gloucester Township? I'm Joe Allen here with Keith Gibbons. This is the Restore GT Podcast. It is, October 14th?
No, yeah, it's the 13th.
Well, it's going to be the 14th when this comes out. Thanks for screwing that up for us.
All right. It's Friday the 13th.
We are.
It is
Friday the 13th. We survived the day.
Yep.
So, it's almost. We still got an hour or two left in the day. Anyway, today we're going through the October 9th council meeting recap. We got some guests in house.
We do. This is the first time that our actual podcast has had guests. We did have guests for the new show that we were doing, which
Inside
was
GT Talk.
Yeah, Inside GT Talk. But we brought in some guests on the regular podcast here.
Friends of ours here. I don't have cameras on each individual one, so I will give them to you both together.
Bulk.
We'll go with Joe first.
Hey guys, how are you? Joe D'Amico, running for Township Council.
And
evening, everybody. I'm Ray Henry. I'm running for Gloucester Township Council.
All right.
So
got some people in house to go through the.
You're Joe Allen running for Township Council.
I am.
I'm the only one that's
am.
not running for Township Council that's on this.
You're the only guy that's ever won anything.
Oh, well, yeah.
Yeah.
So, actually, disclaimer: anything that I say on this podcast is my own opinion and not that of any board that I may be on or any position that I may hold.
Yeah. We're allowed to say whatever we want.
Yeah, I am restricted.
People may not vote for us because of it, but we can say whatever we want. All right, so before we get into the October 9th council meeting, we had Citizens Appreciation Ceremony. What's the actual event called? Is it just...
I guess it's a ceremony. Yeah, it's just Citizen Appreciation Day. Since the last council meeting, had that at... a Citizens Appreciation Park, which is one of the parks that our town has. It's over across from the Glendora Firehouse, which is on the Black Horse Pike down, kind of right to the very edge of town there. Weather was pending on being like rain, so they
a bad day.
Pushed it indoors to the firehouse, and we were there in attendance. There was a couple people that I know that were recognized there. I know you were there also for in support of Denise Coyne, who was nominated through the Rotary. There's a bunch of different organizations that are in town that all get to put up a resident that goes over above and beyond and is just like a standout citizen. And our friend Denise Coyne was one of those people, and very well deserved on her part.
Well deserved.
Yeah.
Can we talk about something for a second? I think about the placement of this park. We talked about this before, where there's an amazing amount of retail space that is so underutilized. The fact that of all the places we could have utilized the park to listen, and I love the citizens of the town, and they deserve celebration, of course. But that park occupies like real retail space, rateables, that things that we could have. I've always wondered why. It's like, why there? Why there in a place that you can't really ride a bike to, or you can't go and you can't kind of celebrate. Like there's there's a time and a place for these kind of places, and it seemed like a weird place in town. I wonder that.
Well, think of Hickstown Park. Hickstown Park is beautiful. Walking trails everywhere. You can do several different parts of the trails.
So cool.
They've got a monument there already.
Sure.
There's a spot for it where people are already on foot, where people can look at it and appreciate everybody that's honored there. It's a place where it's probably the busiest thing that we have in the township.
Oh yeah, any weekend you go there, and there's hundreds of people there every weekend.
Why not put it
every
there?
weekend?
I mean,
this wasn't what we were talking about. We were celebrating Denise, obviously, but
yeah,
it's a it's just a sticking point for me as a person that cares about the retail and the commerce in town.
Right.
And like I look at the placement of it and I go, wow, like of all places, like the Black Horse Pike. I mean, think about the history of that street and how it actually. I mean, that was the pathway to Atlantic City.
Yeah.
That was the way that all the commerce happened in this area for the longest period of time. And to take something that could be a retail space and things that people would actually come and travel for, if you look at it when there's not an event that's going on, I promise you will see nothing but feral cats running through that park. And it's a beautiful
I'm
park.
not saying you're wrong. However, I'll disagree with you that there is a. You got to recognize that the citizens of the town.
Of course.
We don't necessarily. I don't know if anybody else here does, but necessarily know the history of that particular property. Like, do we know how we acquired it, or what was the
question.
like the were there deed restrictions on it, or something along those lines? There could possibly be. So to be fair, we don't know the history of it, but I understand what you're saying. It's like taking waterfront property on the ocean and saying, you know what? Instead of putting a house that could pay us X amount of dollars, instead we're just going to throw up a park here.
Hey, listen, I apologize. Now, it was off topic. It was off topic.
It is.
It's something I think about from time to time. Every time I drive past it and go, wow, it seems like an odd place for. I
100% I hear what you're saying.
Not much different than the one on Summerdale Road that I drive past every day on my way home, and you.
That's a Heritage Park.
Heritage Park.
Yeah,
Swamp Park. What a celebration.
Swamp Park.
Swamp Park.
That's made memes even.
I'm still trying to figure out what's in those bags that have been there for over 16 months now.
That's actually where the bodies are buried. Yeah.
That's
where.
Was that a quote from Orlando?
Yes.
Yeah, you'll see him. He stops by there.
He stops by.
Blue suit, just dropping some bags off. Yeah, that's what he does.
Nothing to see here.
So, to kick the council meeting off, we had Mainstage turn 35 back in July, and it was I guess it was kind of an oversight, and they recognized at this council meeting and talked about.
Well, I believe what they said was the ceremony was held at the Pumpkin Festival. However, the Pumpkin Festival is spread over a pretty vast area, and not everybody that attended it actually saw that they wrote this proclamation for it. So Ed and Erica had come down from Mainstage. I forget the other guy's name that was there too, but they were basically recognizing Mainstage, which I've heard the story of Mainstage through the Rotary. I'm a member of the Rotary, and Ed has come out and told the story, and I've heard that many times. And it is a touching story about, Mainstage is basically put there for kids that, there's their claim, not claim to fame, but like the kind of the pitch that they gave to the town back when they started 35 years ago was kids that play soccer have a soccer field to go to. Kids that play baseball have a baseball field to go to. Kids that sing and dance don't have somewhere to go.
Right.
So, them starting that up, it's a really cool thing for the town. A little bit different. I mean, I don't know if other towns have it because I haven't experienced it. I'm not a singer or a dancer. I mean, you might look like it, but I'm not. I'm not a singer or dancer.
I was looking through to see if, because at the end of the meeting, he said, "Look, this is one of our premium services." So immediately, I got to find if other towns have. Washington Township, I forget what the name of it is for Washington Township. They do have a performing arts.
Yeah. There's I know other towns. I know had.
But
performing
I mean,
arts,
not to take away from it. It is. like you said, they have fields for everything else. But if your kid wants to dance or sing,
I mean, this little girl, you should have. We didn't pull a clip of it, but the little
Annie
girl
one?
that sung Annie. Oh my God! I literally had like tears in my eyes, like thinking, like if that was my daughter up there, I'd be so proud of her voice and her, ability to do that. Yeah, she might not be able to kick a soccer ball down the field, but she could sing her heart out. I mean, and it's like it was just stuff like that I'm getting teary eyed thinking about here. But that's a good thing that we have.
I thought about both of it. There was
two different
two young women that sang there, and I just thought about the bravery just to sit in front of just to stand in front of a group
absolutely
at that age and just sing. But
it was funny. They're like, "Oh, do we need to get the microphone?" And the girl Erica from Mainstage was like, "I don't think you need the microphone. It's she'll be belting this thing out here."
It's pretty incredible because you think about you guys do podcasts, and anytime you've ever had anybody down here and the minute you get on stage or the minute the mic gets turned on you, it is so difficult.
Yeah.
So to do that live in front of people, it's such a gift.
Yeah.
It is such a gift. To be able to turn it on when the lights come on is so hard. So credit to you guys. You're able to do it. Like it's down here and it's in your studio, which is fantastic. But the fact that you're able to like put this on, keep everybody abreast of what's going on in town is a total credit to both of you guys. And,
I appreciate that.
You guys should take a little comfort in the fact you're doing good for the community.
All right, yeah. I'll give you a pat on the back. You give me a pat. I'll pat myself.
I'm good with the celebrity, man. I couldn't do it without the celebrity that everybody knows. This was something that I think I had wanted to do for a long time. Not just about this, but just a lot of different things. Even back when I ran 2 years ago, I really wanted to do stuff on camera, but I was terrified of it.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until we did that interview with Dena. At my kitchen table, and I'm like, this is all right. I don't mind doing this.
Yeah.
But so Mainstage, what was it? You say his name was Pete? Got up? Was it Pete?
I believe it's Ed.
Ed got up.
I'm calling him Ed. I hope his name's Ed. Ed, if your name's not Ed, I'm sorry. I feel like that's what I just remembered it being.
Yeah, so Ed said something that kind of stuck with me. I just wanted to play that clip.
Okay.
And the whole idea behind Mainstage is not to create artists, not to create singers and dancers, but to use the arts as a catalyst to help the kids become all that they can be, to be able to know that they have something to give and that they can stand in front of a group here or a group anywhere and feel secure about themselves. That's what it does. We're not trying to build artists. We're just trying to give kids a chance.
Yeah.
So it stuck with me. Because it was kind of a, there are these, sometimes there's just a defining moment where you kind of realize, you either find out who you are, or you find out, hey, I've got some worth here, and it reminded me back to a point in high school. I had done like this. It was an automotive competition, and won for like the state of New Jersey. I had to go represent in Washington D.C. And before that, I just kind of felt like, I don't know, I didn't know who I was, but I always think back to that moment, like getting there with the award on stage, and I was like, that was it. And I'm thinking like what he just said for some of those kids.
Oh yeah,
to go and they find that part of themselves. I don't know. I thought that was
it opens up doors that people didn't know they had.
Yeah,
and fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah, so just something that just something that stuck with me. I think consent agenda went through without anything. E-Gov was kind of the next thing up, and
so the E-Gov again. There's a reminder, or if you're new, it's the part where you can submit a email question to council, and they read it and address the question, concern, statement that you have.
Yeah, if you've got a long question that takes a bit of research, it's definitely recommended to go and do an E-Gov question.
Yeah, well in advance.
More than anything, it's sometimes not everybody gets a chance to get recognized at council, which I would love to see change, by the way. If you have something you want to say and you have a question to ask, the way the current confines are, there's a certain amount of time and a certain amount of thing for each portion.
Right.
Which, listen, we operate in a representative government. And if you can't hear and you don't take the time to listen to your constituents, that's a problem.
Yep.
Right? So, but because of that, we now have to have people in advance put in questions through an E-Gov. The beauty of it is that it's actually going to get read in most cases. It doesn't always happen because we've had a lot of people put in E-Gov questions that haven't been read, right? But the beauty of it is for people that can't attend a council meeting and can't be part of it, they actually get a chance to have their thing read, and then it has to actually be responded to, which unfortunately doesn't happen most of the time in actual council meetings when you actually answer a question. Because most people use their time for 5 minutes and it says, hey, time's up.
Yeah. Is there anyone else?
Is there anyone else?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, so
I mean,
but that's a great part about the E-Gov, you know, for people that may want to, you know, have questions and they want to put it in. It's going to get answered. It's going to get a response.
Yeah, I mean, and to your point there on that, it is something that is specific to our town. It's not like a state law or anything like that. Like our town imposes that, or not imposes, but puts that out there as something available. Every town is different. Some might have a Zoom access. Some might have a different way of doing it. But the thing to me that is somewhat annoying is, and I know you guys all have multiple things going on in your lives. When someone asks you a question about something that you have access to, you're voting on, you are in the midst of, you have a general idea of what the answer is to a question, right? And when they answer back with, I'm gonna have to get back to you on that, no one was, I don't believe, was asking a specific question of, like, if you say, like, how much did so and so cost, and you might say, I don't know, it was like $40,000 or something like that. Maybe it was 42. Maybe it was 39. I don't know. The ballpark number is what somebody's looking for.
I don't need a decimal point.
Huh?
I don't need a decimal point.
Yeah. Right, exactly. And that's what they seem to want to answer. I will not go on record and answer this because I don't know the actual specific to the decimal point answer to give you. So I'm going to give you nothing.
Right.
And that's what drives me absolutely insane. You know the answer.
You would like to think that the people that are representing you have they've talked about these kind of things and these with these agendas and when they have
right. You know what's on the agenda.
Just go. You know what's on the agenda. So you go like, you would like to think that 7 people sat down, we talked about this, we reviewed it, or at least we had a committee of 3 or 4 people that reviewed it, and we briefed everybody up before they vote. And it's here the thing. We have X, Y, and Z going on. This is what the high points, low points, upside, downsides, and this is the way we kind of feel about it. How do you feel about it? And then everybody comes to a consensus, and then they go to a vote.
Right.
Never feels like that at council meetings.
No.
Never feels like that.
There's never a discussion. There's never a discussion up there. I mean, for the longest time, we just kind of thought that they met behind closed doors and discussed everything we're going to vote on it. But that's not how it works.
Well, that's where the transparency issues that we have in town that come up, and people feel like there's a lack of transparency. Like, even for the people like us that go, and unfortunately there's
a handful.
Yeah.
Well, you can see them in back in, was it the mayor's office? When you're walking through the metal detector to go into the council area, you can see them all in the back there through the window, all huddled around.
Yeah, I mean, the disclosure, when you're sitting in front of everybody, it's a you hope as a citizen, because we're all citizens and we all care about this town.
Right.
It's the reason why we're involved. It's the reason why we do all of this stuff, right? Because all we want's a better. Me personally, and the reason why I ran for mayor before, I just want to be a buffer between the government and the people. Mm-hmm. When you see the way the government's just motorboating citizens, you go like, man, that sucks. like this sucks. Like when you buy a place, when you get married and your taxes are $6,000 and then they're over $10,000, and you're getting the same trash service. You never called the cops. You haven't had a fire. You're just a normal person sitting there. You go like, holy cow.
Yeah,
Like
what
is
happened?
like what happened? As a business owner, you go like, if my overhead just went like through the roof like that,
Right, I'd
like,
be shut down.
What am I doing to control? Like, what am I doing as the business owner to make sure that there's some sort of controls in place to make sure things are, manageable and sustainable. So for guys like us that got kind of involved in this thing, you wonder, like, and you look up at people that are sitting there and going, man, do you have businesses?
Yeah.
Do you care about the citizens here?
Well, and so I think that's what kind of led to this E-Gov question is you could actually be part of the township as a employee or whatnot and feel intimidated that, like, I see these things. My taxes have gone up. What's going on? The people that are around me here, I don't actually agree with them. I actually agree with someone else. But I can't support that person because I might not get the promotion to become the next X job. I don't know what it is, but I'll get passed on a promotion because they're not going to pick me because I was against them. If I was to vote against you, if you knew I was going to vote against you, you tell me you don't have any kind of disdain towards me. Right. You don't have any sort of a screw them type of attitude.
Well, Keith, you bring up a pretty interesting topic, right? So there's a lot of crossover between municipal government and other places in town, right? So we could do a whole segment on this if you wanted to, but if you think about the people in council that are also like we have someone that was just appointed to council who is the school nurse,
right?
You have the council president's been there for almost 20 years.
Yeah,
he also sits on the as an HR director for school district, and you had principals that were on here with, I think, Stubbs, and there's a lot of crossover between schools, and I don't know what that is.
Right.
I don't know why it is that we have
Joe,
between all these things.
I think it's somewhat normal in a smaller town, and when
we're
a smaller town,
a
town of I don't know 4,000 people, something like that. There's only certain people that are going to be invited. When you have 70,000 people in what is it, 25 square miles or somewhere around that ballpark, that's odd that every single person is connected to another person and is in every different area and facet of the
or elected positions that thing, and there's crossover everywhere.
Yeah, that's not.
It's a side that you're the guy who runs public works is also on school board. Like there's, I don't know, we have about 3 schools. Let's say it's about 1,200 people per school, about 3,600.
Well, that's high school you're talking about.
High school, just high school,
right? Yeah.
Just high school. That's his district. So I find it amazing to me. The two things. One, there's 3,600 kids. 7,200 parents. One, that we need to have the guy that's running our public works, running our schools. That's just odd. That's a strange paradigm, right?
Yeah.
Like
I brought that up.
You would think there's 7,200
ago.
kids that there'd be like, or 7,200 parents that somebody goes, I could do it better than someone that runs our trash service. Like it would make more sense.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean it's like there's what 50 people that are all pretty much related to each other and friends with each other that run a town
draw
of
a line
70,000 people.
one way or shape or form.
Oh, there's a like a flow chart that's.
Oh yeah, we have all that stuff. It's not.
There isn't. Yeah, there's several nepotism charts where shows where everybody's related to everybody.
Yeah,
it's pretty crazy in a town this size how small of a group that is and how related everyone is to each other. And how nobody else breaks in. It's just
you're either part of the club or you're not.
I mean, you bring it into you can bring Fryer and
all right. Well, anyway, we have
whatever.
Our next clip here is somebody asking that question.
I digress.
The next clip goes in talks about that a little bit.
E-Gov from Miss Hendry. Good evening. After attending the Pumpkin Festival or speaking with residents around the township, I was told many times that they support me or other candidates quietly as there is fear of retaliation. Is there a policy for employees of the township that prohibits them from putting lawn signs of candidates that they support? If so, why is the policy in place? If not, why would employees be in fear of retaliation? There is no policy that allows, that prohibits employees from putting lawn signs of candidates that they support. And why would employees be in fear of retaliation? Ms. Hendrick, you would have to speak to them and find out. I don't believe anyone here on this dais has retaliated against any employee, whether they had an opponent's sign or their sign or any other sign. There is a political activity policy that the township has. You cannot engage in political activity during the course of the workday, or use any type of equipment, or supplies, or township time or any political activity. But that is the only policy that the township has.
Isn't President Mercado, when he works for the schools and runs out to different events, isn't that political activity?
Yeah, but that's the township's policy, not the schools. So he's being employed at the schools at that point in time.
Does that include,
But it's an interesting, I don't know, policy that they have that you can't.
does that include people with contracts? Like landscapers?
I have no idea. I don't know. I highly doubt it.
No, probably not unless you're employed directly by the school system.
Yeah. But Dena had a few questions through E-Gov this week. Her second question was around celebrating multiple different cultures and heritages. This past, her son was actually selected as one of the recipients of the Spanish Heritage Month, right? But she had a question of why don't we have more?
Good evening. I'm following up again on the request for a more inclusive township. We cannot just celebrate one heritage. We need to celebrate all heritages as they are equally important to the success of this township. This month is also Italian American Heritage and Culture Month, yet there's no recognition or celebration. Another example is May.
Ridiculous to celebrate Jewish people or Italian people, but it's completely acceptable to celebrate every other.
I'm pretty sure that's what they used to do when I was in
I think
elementary
what she was
school.
saying it would be ridiculous to celebrate every single one that's out there.
Yeah.
But you know what I was thinking? And I think somebody actually had the idea somewhere through the council meeting is, why don't we have, we got Pumpkin Festival, we got Beer Festival. Why don't we have like a cultural festival where we have different types of, foods or something like that for all the different cultures? Put it in downtown Blackwood. It's another thing we can bring people in for. It sounds like a great idea.
Think about what the Phillies do. They do them all the time, and they have culture nights. Man, wow! How could we get people down into downtown Blackwood?
Yeah.
Well, let's have an Italian festival, or we have a German festival during October, right? We could bring in there's things you could do to, and these are things that would draw people in. If you're going to, if you were trying to draw people in, and you're going to use a cultural base to draw from outside towns, how great an opportunity is that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Instead we seem to have them right before council meetings, and it's a weird spot.
It seems shtickish. Like it seems like it's a shtick.
Yeah, it does. And
and it's no, but it's not. We're not beslighting in any way the cultures of the people that are being celebrated, but when your municipal government comes and they're trying to do the business of the people, right? And their job is to govern and to legislate, and in that moment, but it seems like it's almost like they're taking the time to grandstand.
It seems
sorts.
forced.
It seems forced.
Yeah.
It does. It seems forced, and it's very I don't know yet. It's just
convenient timing. In many cases.
Yeah, and a lot of people, if you say council meeting starts at 7:30, some folks that have something that they need to get addressed, they show up at 7:30, and then
9 o'clock rolls around, and
8:30, 9 o'clock rolls around.
Okay, when does this start? When can I bring up that I have squatters living next door and condoms flowing out of the sewers and everything else that she's got a problem with over there? Like that's.
So
I mean, there was a few meetings that was it the elderly woman and the gentleman were sitting there and they were waiting and waiting and waiting.
They left
and never got called on, and they just were like,
yeah,
I've had enough.
More than that, how about that? You show up the time you gave that time away, and you gave up an hour or two of your time waiting for whatever procedure is going on. They show up, disappear, come back, and everything else, and then you have 5 minutes, and you may never get afforded that 5 minutes. That's my issue. If you're
absolutely right.
If you're going to hold people captive for an hour and a half, 2 hours, and then not give them the opportunity, because we're only doing 30 minutes, and we're going to allow the same people to speak that always speak, and I have something to say.
Yep.
And you're not gonna listen. There should not be time limits. In people should be afforded the adequate time they need. Now, if they're going over, you could say, listen, we're not getting anywhere.
Yeah. I mean, look, I understand that the constraint of time, because, I mean, let's be honest, we all know it's possible somebody could just sit up there and filibuster for hours. You know what I mean?
100%.
That this is, it's necessary.
Bringing it back in, but putting it down to a time if there's a dialogue, and it's going back and forth. More often than not, what happens is, 5 minutes.
Right,
you're done.
But it's 5 minutes. In all fairness, here is a non-subjective cutoff. You know what I mean? You can't say, if we're having dialogue back and forth. That's your opinion of what's dialogue and what's my. You might think we were having dialogue, and I'm thinking you're just sitting here talking. I don't even want to listen to you. You know what I mean? Like there's at least time is a not subjective, cutoff. But
speaking of things that happened before council meetings, something happened before the previous council meeting that led somebody that may or may not exist to write an email.
Right, and this is what I was starting to say. It's but having these whatever they call them, ceremonies ahead of time lead to boredom. You're almost shaming someone into having to sit through, I'll just say, for lack of better words, someone else's celebration. That's like me going to a person I don't know's birthday party. I am not going to be as happy about attending that birthday party as somebody who is great friends with this person. You know what I mean? I might not be, not that I don't appreciate it, but I came here for a council meeting, which is what was advertised, not a whatever it is, thing. So during one of these whatever it is thing that was sitting here, somebody just took it upon themselves to kill that time by walking around the parking lot and express their First Amendment right. And here we are.
This is from Giselle Brown. Hello, this past Monday, I attended a swearing-in ceremony of the police officers. I was there to support a family friend. This was a wonderful event, and I was touched by the words that the priest had in his prayer regarding 9/11. After the event, I left the building. There was something left on my car. It was a flyer regarding people running for council, and then on the flip side, I had the face of councilmen with negative things to say about it. I'm very disappointed in those that did this. I understand that you have to get your message out, but this was not the time and place for it. Show some decency. This was a beautiful ceremony and a day to come together, and I had to come out and see this trash on my car and other cars, and in all places, the township building. I need to feel safe when I come to a township event. I did not feel safe having someone put things on my vehicle during a ceremony. I would ask that the mayor and council and police review security policies for the township building and the parking lot, and make sure that all residents do not have to come out and see this trash on their cars.
So, before we get into the response that he put on there, it sounded like it kind of sounded like a plant.
100%. I mean, look, we are not stupid people, and even if the person. So, all right, let's back up. When you go to fill out an E-Gov online, it asks you for your address.
Oh, yeah,
and
it
it
does.
will not let you submit that E-Gov until you put an address. Giselle Brown had
Didn't
no
have an
email,
address.
no address written. I've never heard an E-Gov read that did not have the address of this person also read.
I'm still amazed that you actually have to read or recite your address every
It is
time you
weird,
address.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
What is that?
I don't know. I don't know if
It's
that's
for the public record, I guess they say. But
is it for public
guess what?
record?
If you were a police officer that lived in town, your address would not be on the tax rolls, right? Or if you were a attorney for the town, your address and taxes would not be on the tax rolls. What if a police officer wanted to send an E-Gov in? Are they required to put their address in there? Are they required to have that? If you're an elected official in the town, are you allowed to not have your address put on there? You don't know who it is that's going to send something, but yet you're requiring somebody to write something.
Is that a local?
Yeah, it's a
thing?
local.
It's
thing.
a
not
local policy, right?
Yeah.
So that's something.
I don't know
Or is
the
that
answer
something-
100% to that. I know, I think for public record, maybe records, that you should have the address, but it could just be, I live in Blackwood. I shouldn't have to put 89, whatever street on here. Like,
I guess Ray gets away
Dena's.
with it.
What's that?
I guess Ray gets away with it. Palladoro.
He's from the historic village of Ariel. No,
Yeah.
when I
don't know
put it
where
in, I
it
put them
is,
in
but
Blackwood. I'm in Blackwood Estates. That's
I just
it.
say for Blackwood.
Yeah.
I mean,
But it's somebody that doesn't know that. They're
Yeah.
like, I don't know that I want to put my address in here. I can't. They might not know. I'm just going to put the historic village of Ariel.
Right? Like you're putting yourself into a position where
Well,
okay,
this
if
is
somebody doesn't like the way you opinion,
It's kind of intimidating, yeah.
right? So
This-
if I
exactly.
don't like your opinion, or I feel that I think, well, maybe I could. I know exactly where you live.
This is the thing. Yeah.
It is a so to this point where they're talking about where I didn't feel safe in a parking lot, right? Well, if you don't feel safe in a parking lot full of police and cameras,
Yeah.
and there's a piece of paper on your car, that makes you feel unsafe. However, you have people that are objectives to or objectifying the policies of their town, and they're forced to walk up, say their full name, their address, and everything
Right.
else. Like, if you
Do you
want to
think
not
they
feel
don't
safe,
feel safe? Right.
you want to not feel safe, put your name and opinions on public record. I don't know the feeling, like I would not feel unsafe walking out and have a Domino's flyer stuck to my windshield.
Yeah,
Where I feel like oh my God, I'm so unsafe.
when I parked at the speed line, I came out the stuff on my car all the time.
You
And
3
I
and
don't-
4 things on your
Yeah,
car
and
at
I
once.
don't, and I don't think anybody there ever felt unsafe. And you're in the police department too.
Yes.
You don't feel safe because
But-
a flyer was put in your car. I don't buy it, man.
The act of putting that flyer on their car, though, is that person's right
First
to
Amendment right.
their First Amendment right. Your feelings about not being safe do not trump somebody else's First Amendment right. So
right.
yeah, I mean, and this
Feelings
goes
don't trump
on to
rights. Yeah, feelings
Yeah.
do not trump rights. And I mean, it's a different story when you're in, ShopRite parking lot, because it's a private parking lot.
okay,
This is a public. This is a public parking lot,
right.
so it's allowed there.
This is, I mean, you
So-
can go on YouTube and do First Amendment audits. Just look in
you
First
know
Amendment
what?
audits
I thought
and
about
watch
this.
how much you have so much power as a
Yes.
resident in
If
public.
if you want to learn anything about First Amendment audits, Long Island audit.
Oh, Long Island audit. Yeah,
Long
that guy's
Island
good.
audit.
Sean Reyes.
Fantastic,
Yeah.
fantastic channel. You'd be surprised. Honestly, he surprised me with what you are allowed to do, because I honestly wouldn't have thought.
It is, yeah.
You can take a camera and go to your municipal building, and you just walk around. He'll walk through the parking lot, and they'll come
They'll
out.
come out.
What
Listen,
are you doing?
It's
And they'll-
happened to me before. When I've gone out
Yeah.
on cameras. Like, what are you doing? I'm filming. Why? What's the problem? And it's always a problem. But I know you said it earlier today. There's cameras everywhere. You're right. They're
Yeah.
always watching us, but it's always a problem when we watch them. That seems to be the
So-
issue. You'll learn that on.
The response here from Council President was kind of the bigger problem.
Yeah.
There's a few people that received some things on their cars that evening. I gave mine back to the owner of that card. So we passed it out. So I asked the chief that maybe when there are events that are out there, that maybe we have our special officers go through the parking lot and just make sure that people are not doing things they shouldn't be doing. So, yes,
Yeah, I just make sure that the chief knows I'm a tyrant
Things
and I
that they
want.
shouldn't be doing.
Right.
They
love
are
us.
allowed to do that.
We're gonna take your textiles and we are going to pay people to infringe upon your First Amendment rights and infringe upon if you have a opinion about how this town's being ran or how it's going and you would like to do things differently. Gestapo, in a way of special police, is going to stop you from actually trying to influence against the things that
I'll give you a great example.
Speak against
A great example. Go to any other township, and you go to any other township, and you know who's running for council in any other township. In our township, you are not allowed to know because they passed an ordinance that said you can't put signs on public places. You go to Washington Township, you know who's running over there.
You know why? Because they have to apply for permits.
Where at?
In Washington Township, they apply for permits to put their signs out on public property, and because you can do it on private property, but public property, the campaign has to apply for a permit. I learned that last weekend.
Yeah, that'd be fine.
That's great. You know what else we have to apply for a permit for? Having a yard sale at your own house.
Oh,
I'm pretty sure we're allowed to have. We could handle an influx of we need permits to have a permit for my running for campaign against you. But no, because you're running against them, they're running against the machine. Forget it.
Could you imagine paying $25 for? Could you imagine paying $25 for a yard sale that you may not make any money on?
You sell for $15.
You're net zero before you start.
Well, I don't think they charge for the yard
they're
sale
actually
signs,
they're free here. They're free here, but
what's the point of it? Like literally, you have a yard sale permit thing, but like you can't do something like Washington Township has. Right,
I'm actually still waiting for my approval on my May yard sale. That I never got approval.
2021?
I emailed it. I've called in twice. I never got an approval for my yard sale.
The bureaucracy.
So-
That's insane to me.
Yes.
So anyway, on this whole First Amendment violation, basically that he was stating here, of course, our savior Denise got up there and
She's so good.
She's great.
The best.
I did an interview with her after this whole meeting here, but we'll play this clip here. We'll release the other video later.
Denise Coyne, Chief's Lady. I just want to clarify something. This is public property, correct?
yes, public property.
Parking lot's public property.
Yes.
Is there an ordinance against putting flyers on cars?
I don't know if there's an ordinance, but are you referring to the E-Gov?
Yes.
Someone said they didn't like it.
Okay, but then somebody made a comment to the chief about making sure that there's security and et cetera in the parking lot. So that confused me because this is public property. The parking lot's public property, and there's no ordinance for putting flyers on cars. So I'm wondering what the chief would do about somebody putting flyers on cars.
Ms. Coyne, this resident had indicated that they did not want things put on their vehicle.
I understand that, but I'm asking a simple
Ms.
question.
Ms. Coyne, let me finish, please. That individual did not feel comfortable leaving a council meeting and going out and seeing this on their car.
I heard the E-Gov.
Are you going to let me finish, Ms. Coyne?
Okay, but
No,
I
just
had
continue.
3 minutes.
Just continue, Ms. Coyne. You have 3 minutes.
I had 3 minutes. So I'm asking what the police chief would do about somebody putting a flyer on somebody's car.
I'm asking to make sure that our parking lot is safe and secure. That
How is
everyone-
putting a
that
flyer
Ms.
on a
Coyne,
car being
that
unsafe?
everyone feels safe there.
How is putting a
I have
flyer on
nothing
somebody's
else to add,
car
Ms.
making
Coyne.
somebody unsafe? If they're in the building and somebody put a flyer on their car, I'm not understanding that scenario. I don't understand what the police chief would do about that.
I have nothing else to add. You don't want to accept my answer.
What was your answer?
Try 3 times to answer your.
I have 3 minutes to make my point.
Then we're gonna let you just talk.
Okay, I have 3 minutes to make my point. I asked a question and I just wanted an answer.
You're asking a question during the time of making the point. He's trying to give you an answer, but then you cut him off.
He's redoing the E-Gov that I already heard. I was just trying to get an answer as to whether there's an ordinance against putting flyers on cars. The answer is no, correct?
I am not aware of that. We'll have Mr. Carlemere research that.
Thank you. I would appreciate that.
Man, they really went around and around before.
Oh, and by the way, there will be one if there wasn't now because you just brought it up.
Yes.
Yeah. And I think that's the last straw too. If that winds up being a thing, then I think we go after that. Then I think we also go after the sign thing because I still think the sign thing is horrible.
How about this? I'm a resident who thinks and I feel unsafe about my taxes being raised in non-election years.
Yeah, I don't know where my money's going.
I feel unsafe. I feel violated.
Yeah, I feel unsafe.
I feel unsafe. Every other year, my taxes get raised.
And if it doesn't,
in non-election years, it's incredible. I feel unsafe. I think. Can we write an ordinance about that, please?
Yeah. And if you think that's a joke, don't pay your taxes.
Oh no! We have an accelerated tax program in our town. So if you don't pay your tax, 6 months you're out. You're
done.
That's happening.
You're done.
It's going in.
We're
And
going to
listen,
accelerate the tax.
There's a lot of people that have easy access to tax lien certificates in our town. Yeah. So.
And then after E-Gov was over, Denise Coyne came up and asked for an update on the plan for the master plan and the use of areas in need of rehabilitation.
Right. Well, this was also spurred from we had a workshop meeting scheduled for today, or not today, for that meeting.
That Monday.
And it was canceled, like it always is. There actually was an E-Gov that we didn't play that somebody asked, like, hey, in a town that's 70,000 people with a budget of $75 million and 23 square feet, there's not a single topic that needs to be discussed. You know, I mean, come on. That's what a workshop is talking out things that might come up on an agenda in the future with the town and see what the public opinion is. Is it, hey, should we put a limit on, the number of cannabis outlets there are? Hey, we're working on the master plan. Let's talk about like what areas should be for warehouses, what areas should be for, commercial highway, what highway commercial, whatever. But there's nothing. There's no discussion whatsoever. And it was explained to us that it's basically if a staff member brings something to council, then they'll talk about it. So staff members did not bring anything to council members. So it was just completely dismissed. However, Denise Coyne has mentioned this area in need of rehabilitation as a designation of the town, which gives council special powers, certain powers. Let's talk about this. So why are we giving tax abatements to over, if you're going to build over at Hollywood and Vine versus building in say downtown Blackwood where we want businesses to go and start revitalizing. And council president has multiple times said, yes, this is a good topic. We should discuss this. But yet here we are canceling yet another workshop meeting for how many months in a row now that we haven't. Wow, I just really talked a lot, and you guys are all fall asleep there.
No,
we're in awe.
In awe, please.
It just if that happens, it goes back to what we talk about all the time, or with Denise, because Denise has turned into she's like a folk hero for crying out loud. She just does so much for the town, and it was great that she was appreciated by the town, even if there's a certain faction of it that probably resented having to do it. But what she asks for all the time is, transparency. Yeah. And when you cancel things, it says what are you trying to hide? What deals didn't happen, or what were? And I'm not trying to be accusatory or anything, but when things like that happen, you go why did it? There's a reason why it got canceled.
Right.
Just put it out. Hey, listen, we haven't come to terms yet. We're still working through some things.
You mentioned maybe it's going to be November, December. Okay, that might lead me to believe maybe you don't want to talk about it until after the election, or something like that.
That's odd, right?
It is odd that it would be after the election that it'll probably be able to be talked about then.
Like tax hikes, but I digress.
Right.
Yeah, well, it's funny because that transparency thing comes up a lot, and it came up a lot years ago when it was like the main focus in my campaign 2 years ago when people said how are you going to be more transparent like that. Right. It's exactly and it's the same thing that we're still pushing for today. We all want that transparency, we all want that discussion. That is where it would happen. So
to have a discussion with the people that actually chose elected, we are a representative government. right?
Mhm.
So like the people that you represent, you should actually have
Represent.
maybe represent.
Yeah.
So like when
Yeah,
they come
yeah.
to you and they ask you questions, you should be like, hey, you know what? I appreciate you asking that question because that question's obviously important to the people that actually represent.
Right.
Maybe I'm nuts.
Well, Joe, he does represent the lady Giselle that sent that in that doesn't feel safe. He represents her. He's going to get rid of everyone else's First Amendment rights to represent her and make sure she feels safe.
Not the other 45 or
Right.
50,000
No, the other, yeah.
homes in the it's insane to me.
No.
So we had a new a new resident that I've never come across in a council meeting before come in, and she asked about a house that
Yeah.
it's in her neighborhood, and this house apparently has squatters, prostitutes, drugs, guns, and condoms everywhere.
Yes.
And she's coming in to ask,
Thank goodness there's condoms.
what are we gonna do? Yeah, I mean, yeah, at least they're keeping the population low.
There we go.
So, but yeah, I don't know if they charge admission over there or what. But let's check out the clip for this one.
Kim Carfagno, 23 Millbridge Road, Clementon.
Okay.
Down the street from 28 Millbridge Road. You probably all know what I'm going to say or ask. So, not getting into all the police. Thank you for the police who are doing what you can, arresting piece of trash 3, 4, 5 times. Him getting out. We're concerned about our safety in our neighborhood. I guess I don't live right next door, but I'm concerned because it's down the street. Concerned about my neighborhood kids. Concerned about the prostitutes going in there. Concerned about the guns that are going in and out of there. Concerned about someone who cut off a lockbox, never paid rent, who's living in a house as a squatter. I know they have squatters' rights. I get that. Totally disagree, but if it was your house, you live next door, as council members, I'm asking for your help. What can we do to resolve the situation? I know you're not gonna tell us what's going on behind the scenes, but at this point, it's going on a year, 10 months? 10 months maybe, I don't know. The condoms overflowing from the sewage pipe that our kids have to walk past to go to the bus stop, it's unacceptable. Not in Gloucester Township, it shouldn't happen anywhere.
Excuse me, Kim. Were there any flyers on your car outside?
Did you feel
you
feel unsafe with the flyer on your card?
Right. So you were safe then, right? Okay.
You know, it doesn't happen in other townships because they don't have premium services.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
That's basically Las Vegas.
that's
right
only
there.
because they're not in close
Exactly,
they're
yeah.
not in close proximity to like major landlines like we are.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why we have premium.
Man, that's so in New Jersey, unfortunately. So my wife has worked in property management. She got out of property management this year actually, and moved on to something different because it's not a great thing to do in New Jersey because you don't, as a landlord, you really
No.
you
The
have,
landlord-tenant laws in New Jersey are
man, you have no rights as a landlord in New Jersey. So yeah, she said that she was saying look, squatters have more rights to the
Than
property
you as the
than
owner
than
of the property.
actual owner.
Yeah.
The confusing part about this, though, she mentioned several arrests on. She mentioned a guy, and she mentioned several arrests, and I thought, if they've arrested him, isn't the house empty? Can't they just go in and clean it out? Or if there are drugs and guns, isn't that like search warrant? Go in, arrest the guy, clear the house out.
more alarming.
Take it over?
The fact that she knows that there's drugs and guns, and nobody stood up, even the chief.
No, that's
You know.
not true. I don't know that you didn't hear the whole thing. The chief was the police have been. And like
He's
she
well
mentioned
aware
it
of
too.
this
The
place.
the
Yeah.
police are definitely
Aware.
constantly in contact with them. They're hand tied because of squatter rights laws.
No, what I was saying is the fact that there's guns and drugs and these kind of things, and like that's open. The fact that the chief didn't stand up and go, there's no guns or gun. He didn't say anything.
Oh no, he's not denying
No,
anything.
because he knows that there's
Yeah, he's
Right.
they're
Right.
there. She's right. Yeah, he didn't stand up and say, "Hey, that's not a thing." So it's an actual
an actual problem.
It's an actual problem.
Yeah.
Could you imagine, like, you got a 4-year-old daughter, or 5-year-old daughter or whatever, and she's has to walk past.
That's what she's saying.
You
Yeah.
talk about safety. I mean, there's safety concerns.
Right. This is a safety concern, not somebody putting flyers on your car because they're your opposition.
Yeah, like I can't believe somebody said something bad about Elena Mercado on a flyer.
Yeah.
I feel really unsafe.
Oh,
Yeah.
Man.
Joe, do you feel unsafe with the flyer that they put out about you?
I love that flyer, by the way.
Do you feel unsafe?
I love that flyer. It's so hypocritical in so many ways.
And they sent that through the mail.
Yeah.
They did.
Whatever.
Yeah, they did. They sent that.
Spent a
with
lot of money. That's a lot of money to spend on.
It's a waste. Anyway, we had so do you have a clip of what's her name? Caitlin Garcia.
Caitlin Garcia.
Caitlin Garcia.
Our
yeah.
Councilwoman Caitlin Garcia. No,
Yeah.
she gave some absolutely useless advice to Mrs.
She
Carpano
did. Oh my
about
God.
hey, if you guys you team up as a neighborhood, keep your neighborhood nice and clean. They don't like these people. They don't like clean neighborhoods. So
Right.
eventually they'll just go away if you clean your neighborhood up.
Did you say these people?
Yeah, squatters.
Yeah, squatters.
The reason to get rid of squatters, or the way to get rid of squatters, is to keep your yard clean. That's
keep your
basically what
yard
she-
clean. It'll make them feel uncomfortable, I guess, and then
Yeah.
Maybe I'm old fashioned. maybe you keep your neighborhood affordable so your houses aren't vacant.
Yeah.
And then people don't just walk in and occupy them when you can no longer occupy them.
You're old fashioned.
Yeah.
I'm old fashioned.
maybe don't tax them out of the neighborhood so they don't. So they don't leave. But,
Don't tax lien certificate them in 6 months and take kick people out of their houses.
But the chief has worked with the folks in that neighborhood, I guess, to start like a neighborhood watch.
Yeah.
And but he did say
They're working on it.
It is evictions are a civil thing, and
Sure.
there's only his hands are kind of tied with that. So, but apparently they're working together. I think she's a bit frustrated, and rightfully so. Man, I would be.
Right.
I feel like if it
Imagine
wa-
you're the property owner of that house and somebody's squatting in your property.
What if you made the largest investment in your life, and it's in Millbridge, right? So you came over from Philly in 1985, and you made the largest investment. You left from a row home, and then you come in and you pay. Maybe at that time it was $125,000,
Right.
which was a ton of money,
Right.
right? And you bought Millbridge, and you were sitting there, and that was your neighborhood and everything. And then, as the neighborhood kind of changes, which happened because I know people in that neighborhood, the neighborhood kind of changes, and then you see not only your property value fall because it's not rising, if that makes sense.
Right.
It's not rising with everything else, and then you have that next to your house.
Yeah.
Like this is in a town that's supposed to be premium, supposed to be a nicer. This isn't. I don't want to smudge on Camden, but this isn't Camden. Like, this is a nice town.
Yeah.
We have 3 high schools. It's a big district. We have a fantastic police force.
They're going to use that. You're going to say, Joe said this isn't Camden.
This isn't Camden. It's not. It's a nice town.
No,
Right?
this is where
It's a nice town.
This is
Like,
where,
and you shouldn't have these
Right.
kind of things happening. That's not normal.
yeah.
Right?
No.
These are not normal occurrences. These are things that are that happen because bad things have happened in communities, right? And then, in my opinion, the part of local government and police are there to do their jobs, but local government is that to make sure things like this don't happen, right?
Yeah.
You don't put systems in place where, you've taxed people out of their homes, or, there's a lot of vacant buildings in places and things like that.
Make the construction process so unobtainable people can't even get through it.
Right.
Contractors don't even want to work
the
here.
place wouldn't be vacant if they could get permits, but the permit process is so difficult
Right.
that they come in, they shut it down, and
Yeah.
they're the kind of things that on a municipal level you can do to make these things kind of not happen as often.
Could somebody go in that house and squat and kick him out?
I wonder that too. Like that's what I wonder.
Squat the
Like, what if
squatter.
I just went in the house and
there's
decided
no
to
legal-
squat and be like, hey,
It's on
now
the
you're gone.
website. Squat the squatter.
That's a good question.
Like since there's no legal owner to that house, like if you just can't.
No, there's a
in the
legal
bushes-
owner. It's just the
Well,
squatter
yeah,
has
right.
rights over
They
the
have-
legal owner.
Exactly.
But I was wondering, what if you just hung out and you waited for them to go out one day, and then you moved in, changed the locks. Now it's yours.
It's like Dumb and
right?
Dumber.
Yeah, that's a
you
good
can't
bit.
squat a triple squat.
Honestly, that's a good business idea.
It is.
Right.
Hire a squatter to get the squatter out.
Ray, I think you and I, man, we just
That'll work.
yeah.
There we go.
All right, let's move on here. We had a couple more things to get to. We're going to approach an hour here.
yeah, Dena Hendry was she's kind of got the business from council a few times going up there, and she thought that she would maybe recite what a council president should be, and this led to I cut it off so that you would.
Yeah, it was a little bit longer of a clip to listen. It's,
you
understand what the council president's role is in a shorter clip, so we just cut it down.
pull up the Faulkner Act. Had I not, we would have had to pull an intermission.
Before we get into that, Joe, another brave soul that gets up in front of council all the time. You know, I give a lot of credit to anybody that does it. It's very, very difficult. It's a
thankless job.
It's a thankless job, and Denise Coyne does great, and Dena does the people's work every time she goes up there. And if she gets in because she is running, it should be said, if she does that much in front of people, could you imagine what she would do behind the scenes at school board and try to make sure that people are protected, children are protected? It should be mentioned.
Yeah.
So we're not talking that, but she really puts
my
herself out there.
personal vote goes to Dena as one of my votes for school board. 100%.
Yeah, she puts herself out there. She's really an incredible
voted
person.
for longer meetings.
You know it's fun.
What's that?
You totally voted for longer school board meetings.
Hey, I don't care. Look, more transparency to me is better. I don't care.
The irony, Joe, when we were running, right, and we think so. Dena was kind of on your side on these things, and she calls me, and a funny story about Dena. So she calls me, and at the time I so happened to be playing golf, and we sat around and we talked for 45 minutes.
You golf?
On occasion.
Occasion.
So we're on a golf course. She calls me and says, "I want to sit down and I want to have a debate with you and Sam. We'll put all this stuff together and everything." And I go, "Look, I respectfully declined, but we talked and we had like an exchange and we were so opposite. She's like, I'm this, I'm that, I'm here, and we were on the opposite sides of the universe. Now through this whole process, when we just realized that the way the town's being ran, and the way we think, it's amazing how concentric our views have become. Like we've kind of completely, like, we were so far apart.
Well, what do you mean by that? Like when you're saying they're so far apart, is it because the topics you were debating were more national and
Is
that where it is, or
I'm
is
glad
it?
you hit it that, Keith, because this national thing means nothing locally.
Right. So when you're talking about like you guys were far apart, is that what you were far apart about?
No.
And now that you're getting into the minutia of the daily business, that's where you're coming together.
Now, you know what I think
you're
it is?
100% right.
You know what I think it is? I think when people talk and people sit down and have dialogue with one another, they understand, man, we're not that far apart.
Right.
We're never that far apart. People are never that far apart.
Yeah.
Right? So whatever views you have nationally, and whatever views, I like this or I like that, great.
Right.
When it comes to local government, man, we all want the same things.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to be safe. Everybody wants their children to have a great education. Everybody wants to feel, like that they're protected. They can afford their home. They want affordability, and they want to feel like they're part of something.
Yeah, part of
right?
the community. Yeah.
Man, the minute we got there, it's amazing that everything else, all the tertiary kind of periphery, it all came like this. Yeah. And before you know it, look who's supporting one another.
Yeah.
Right? Exactly. Yeah, the same people. We be like, man, we all want the same thing. So I think the world of her. She should get elected. and this isn't a pitch for her in general, but every week she gets up in front of council, and she's not afraid to say what it is the people need to hear.
Yeah.
And that the council needs to hear, and God bless her for it.
Yeah, I mean, I poke fun of her because of the long things. I completely, I 100% respect her.
Oh.
And and you know what? And in fact, if it wasn't for her, I'd have never got in front of a camera to do the interviews that she did when I ran for council in 21.
Yeah.
Which meant that I would have never bought these microphones to do those things.
Right.
We would have never had a podcast. This podcast exists.
She has been doing this and trying to help the community and trying to help parents understand who they're voting for the school board for like 4 years, 3 years or 4 years.
Three boys. She has 3 boys.
Yeah,
right?
she has 3. I mean, there's nobody that's running that's up, for election that isn't already elected that has as much. I don't even know what you call it, like just drive and sustainability in this whole game.
She makes lucid arguments, be it passionate, typically passionate. She makes lucid arguments for everything that she has. She has they're well thought out, comported thoughts.
Yeah.
And she presents them, and I hate at council meetings where she pours her heart out, literally.
And they dismiss her.
And she pours her heart out. She's a mom who works, has 3 sports, does other things, and then comes up here and still finds time to go to all the other meetings.
Right.
And comes up here and still and all the other things think about what a mom has to do all the time. It's a difficult job, especially with 3 boys, work, everything else. The fact that she takes time to present something to council almost regularly, once or twice, that's 5 or 10 minutes of speak. God bless her. She's fighting a good fight.
She's even dragging her husband out to meetings too.
Oh yeah,
making him watch from home and everything. But she came up and she like as we mentioned, she talked about what the role is, and I cut it down a little bit. At the end of it, it's quite funny because she asks the question, "Do you feel like you fulfilled that role?" And I think the answers are they're pretty. Well, check it out.
Dena Hendry, Somerdale. 2 meetings ago, I had sent an E-Gov, and instead of taking constructive criticism and professionally coming up with an understanding, it turned into a personal attack. Throughout coming to council meetings, our council president has found it necessary to state what his role is when it comes to maintaining control in meetings. What he seems to forget is that his role when it comes to representing the people of this township, not to control anything or anyone. So I would like to take the remainder of my time to kindly remind what exactly the role of a council president. In a Faulkner Act, a municipality government in New Jersey, with a strong mayor-council form of government, the council president's role in representing and responding to residents of the municipality primarily involves the following. What they do not do is belittle, gaslight, insult, or try to silence the community that they are supposed to be representing. As my time is coming to an end, I ask you this, Council President, can you truly say right now you have successfully fulfilled your role as Council President of Gloucester Township?
Yes.
How so?
I agree. I second and third that.
This week's Ask Kisser of the Month goes to...
How so?
My record speaks for itself.
That is correct.
Yes.
That's a man with a record right there.
Woo! Ass kicks. The award goes to.
So yeah, man, I'll tell you what, I can't find anything bad to say about Councilman Mignon. But man, he just, he
really kissed him. That
he's
time.
Second and third it. He was there. There was a lot of Orlando love.
Is he up for? Is he on?
He
is he on the ballot this year?
He's on the ballot this year. Yeah,
that makes sense. Then.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
that makes sense. He's a
whole campaign.
He's a very nice guy, but being a nice guy and actually legislating well are two different things, I think.
Yeah. You know, the both of them. Mercado is a fantastic representative of the administration. The problem is that's not his job.
Yeah,
his job is the representative of the people, and
well, it is of certain people.
Yes.
Of what was her name?
Oh,
Giselle. He's representing Giselle.
He's keeping Giselle safe.
If he knew you were a voter of his, he would represent you. But because you're not, and you're Dena, you're not going to get represented. Or because you're Denise and you're holding him accountable, you're not going to get represented. Instead, he's going to gaslight you and do all the other things that were brought up of what the council president is not supposed to do.
So, at the end of the meeting, going through the final remarks, there's some grocery store ladies that we wanted to.
Oh my God, this was so funny.
This was.
You know, I don't know how old she is, but
I don't know. She said there was some old ladies in the grocery store.
Yeah, had to be. She's got to be 70, right? At least 68, maybe somewhere around there. She had some old ladies in the grocery store.
A couple of ladies came up to me, and they watch one line. And I was surprised that they watched, and they said, "We just wanted to tell you that they were very impressed with, and you don't know this, but I'm just telling you now, that President Mercado runs an excellent meeting." And I was just very happy. And I said, "Well, he doesn't always get compliments." They said, "Well, he should." So I just wanted you to put that on the record.
From that little silver dot in the corner, they recognized her.
It's amazing. What are their microphones worked?
Right, yeah.
All the microphones worked this week. That's amazing. Every time they give each other compliments, I just want to put this on the record that you run an excellent meeting.
Yeah.
I don't know why I'm just telling you this now.
Right.
But I've been told that you do an excellent job.
A couple little old ladies in ShopRite just came up to me, and the only thing they had to say to me,
we watched it online.
Man, I can't believe what a great meeting Orlando Mercado runs.
Yeah.
Oh, really? That's what you want to tell me? I thought you were going to compliment my dress. Is that watermelon ripe? No, not the watermelon.
They are. Wait, I watched them online. I can hear everything that's said. Everyone's microphone is dialed right in, and I can recognize you from that dot that was on the.
Yeah.
These ladies have the best hearing aids in the world, man.
She's gotta be kidding me. Oh my God. All right, sorry.
What are the odds that they got him confused with Carlemere?
Yeah, or maybe Cardis. I don't think they have the same haircut.
In ShopRite.
You watch that little screen, and then see
it's pixelated.
It's a $100 camera.
The video clip you just showed is pixelated. At the time, it hangs on actual line.
It's a.
What are they?
It's like a $100 webcam they have across the room. Can't pick that lady out. You've got to know her. You've got to know her to do that.
It's just funny. She was like, "I don't know why I'm telling you this just now."
Yeah,
but I've been told in the past.
Oh, my stomach hurts. All right.
So, there's.
That was nice.
Wasn't there more?
That was nice of Councilwoman Troxel to make sure that
was. Yeah.
Orlando gets some love.
He deserves it.
Here's another one at the end.
No, he doesn't.
He doesn't give himself enough.
President Mercado, I want to thank you for your leadership, for what you do, especially these meetings every other Monday night. From somebody who has sat in that seat, it's not easy. I appreciate what you do. Thank you very much. Everybody have a great night.
Mr. Mercado.
Sounds like a eulogy. No, far from it. Far from it.
Vote November 7th.
Wow. It will be the eulogy if we vote him out. So, yeah, that was the love festival that we had for Orlando.
Well, he's been doing such a great job for the last 20 years.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, well, people like him in that building. Everywhere else, I'm not really sure. But
it was a good fluff job.
Oh my God,
it was. And then, Councilwoman Grace, she decided to take 10 years off of Mainstage's.
Yeah.
Ms. Grace, I want to congratulate Mainstage on 25 years.
Caitlin Garcia. she doesn't know dates, times.
No idea.
Just said doesn't know names.
I still remember her story from Cross Keys being a dirt road.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. She remembered at some point in time when Cross Keys Road was a dirt road.
Okay, sure.
I've lived here my entire life.
That's what I was. Yeah.
It's never been a dirt road.
No.
We used to go to Heckinger, and there was no dirt road to get to Heckinger.
Yeah.
So that is, folks. That's it for this council meeting.
Yeah. Thank you to our guests for hopping on tonight.
Next thing up on the list here is Beer Fest, and that's going to be October 21st. That's next Friday, right?
Yeah, and there's a bunch of trunk or treats going on in town all over the place.
Next Saturday. It's next Saturday. So
21st is next Saturday already. Oh my God.
Yeah, man. Going to Beer Fest?
I guess so. I don't
you guys,
know.
you guys going to Beer Fest?
Yeah, it's crazy. It's almost election day.
Yeah.
Wow. Could imagine we could kind of change a little things if I don't know, maybe people showed up. That'd be great. It'd be awesome. We'd love to see people at the polls.
Oh, you know what? The 17th. The 17th is the last day to register to vote. If you're not registered, the 17th is the last day to vote. Register to vote. And then when is early voting? Early voting
17th is Tuesday. I believe.
Tuesday.
Yep, Tuesday.
Early voting starts, what, 10 days before?
10 days before? It sounds about right.
I think it might be 10 days before.
Which is crazy, though, because there's so many people in town right now that have mail-in ballots just sitting. You have mail-in ballots just sitting on your...
Is it like a third? Only a third
so
far?
Yeah, they're just sitting right on your... Right there. You have the ability right now. It's crazy. People are... The greatest thing we have in our country is the ability to vote. It's the greatest personal freedom you have is to control who your elected officials are, and the fact that there's that many people that have something, just a piece of paper like this, and all you have to do is fill it out and walk it down your mailbox.
Yeah,
could you imagine? Like here and I are both veterans, right? Been deployed, been all over the place, like been in places where you have zero freedoms. Mm-hmm. You don't have the option for anything. We have like an embarrassment of riches in our country, and as far as options, and I got two. All you gotta do is fill out these things. It's like I can walk it down, I can not walk it down. I want to say, I don't want to say.
Yeah.
Yeah. I tell you what, it blows my mind when I meet somebody that's never voted.
Crazy.
And or somebody that thinks, well, it's a good illusion that you have control.
Or
you really do.
Or voted emotionally. Like I have people that. Like, I voted for this person because I thought it would be cool.
Yeah.
Like, I thought it'd be cool to vote for Obama the first time. Like, somebody said that to me, and I go, did you do any research?
Yeah.
Did you look into the policies?
The policies involved,
yeah. Yeah, right? Like, I just thought it'd be cool to vote for, it'd be cool to vote for Obama.
Yeah.
Well, all right. I want to vote for cool. I like to kind of vote for things that are substantive and have some positive effects on local government, or in this case,
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's a. I don't know. I don't know if it was. I think from probably back in, we covered elections back in like grade school. Like they did like these elections. I remember when Reagan beat Mondale.
Really?
Yeah,
I don't.
No, I do.
Like
It was a big thing they did in the auditorium.
I think I was playing Atari at the time.
That's right.
I went to
riding a BMX.
ColecoVision.
We covered it in grade school. I went to John Glenn Elementary on Turnersville Road, and we talked about. And then like you picked the side. We didn't know policies, right? It was just kind of like you picked the side. I think I actually picked Mondale. I don't.
That explains a lot.
Yeah, I grew up a little screwed up. But no, I was like I couldn't wait. I couldn't wait to register and vote, and I voted for Ross Perot my first.
So did I ever tell you my Ross Perot story?
No.
All right, so this is pretty wild. So I'm in. I went through basic military training, went through my AIT kind of thing for the Army, would be the Army version of it. So I go through my my training, then I go through a couple other courses, and I'm in survival school. So I'm in survival school, and at the time, we're knee deep in I think let's see, Scott O'Grady had just gotten shot down. It was like kind of Bosnia time and that kind of thing. So Ross Perot is a Texas business owner, and during the Iraq War, he had guys that worked for him that were taken POW. So Ross Perot not only had his own, he drove a minivan. The guy's a billionaire. Drove a minivan. Every single person in his company, from what I understood, had his cell phone. When cell phones weren't big, right? So if you had a line. People were taking POW. He went and got his own mercenaries, and got his people out and got them recovered.
Really,
dude. So I'm sitting in SEER school, and I go, man, who do I want to be my commander in chief? Like if I get jammed up and I'm overseas and I get picked up, like who do I want? If this guy gets his own people out and he's a civilian,
that
was my first vote. I'm 19 years old at the time in a presidential election, and I go, that's my guy. And coincidentally, because I wasn't home, I think it was a mail-in.
Yeah.
So for the mail-in votes, they matter.
Yeah.
You were doing mail-ins before mail-ins were.
Well, we were doing mail-ins when mail-ins were the way they were supposed to be. Yeah, military guys are deployed and overseas and still should have a say in how the country should be governed.
Well, and so in that election, you're voting for a guy who has the ability to control one of the things that mattered to you in that election.
Isn't
right?
that what government's about?
Right, and so that's my point is in this election that's coming up on November 7th, is it right?
Yes.
We have the town council positions that the three of you guys here are running for. Don't vote on anything to do with national politics or getting you out of a POW situation. They're your local issues. So like
we're
Jimmy
the guys
Dore
like
said,
you that were sitting on the bench and looked at it and go, man, this sucks. This isn't working well.
Right.
How do we fix it? Like most of us need this like we need a hole in the head.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like right. I have businesses. Joe's got a lot of stuff going on in business. Ray's got 10 jobs for crying out loud.
Right.
He works like a maniac.
Right.
Right. And he works for the government and does some other stuff. So people are just getting ahead and getting in between government and the people.
Right.
And that's what we're trying to do, is trying to figure out how do we stop this crap and make everybody's life a little bit easier, and how do we run it more efficiently? Yeah. Because right now, more than anything, which would be great, we have a balanced government in this.
Yeah, if nothing else, just a check and balances.
That's it.
Right.
That's what it's about.
That's how government was set up to be. Is that check and balances. That I might not agree with you, and you might not agree with him, but he might agree with him, and whatever the thing is. Collectively, we'll figure it out, and there's a balance between it. There's not just a one-way train to whatever town you're heading there.
There's a lot of great things the mayor's done over his. You can't deny the fact that there's good and bad that everybody does.
Right.
To say that he's all bad. No, he's not all bad. He's done some nice things, but give me your budget
unchecked. It goes a different route than just
you give me your
things.
budget. It comes through us. We'll review it. and see, well, like, hey, you know what? We don't like your budget, and we send it back.
Right.
You know, and you
Do
clean it
better.
up. Do better.
Yeah.
Bring it back. Like we're not doing that. Like
Right.
we're not doing increases. We're not borrowing another $14 million next year.
Right. And actually have it to us before, like, the night before the deadline so that we don't have to, approve
Well,
it.
yeah,
How about let's work a little ahead of time?
I love that. I love this
you know.
one. Oh, we're gonna pass we're gonna bond $3 million.
Yeah.
Just because, and you'll hear cars. Well, every town does this to make sure that we don't have shortfalls or whatever.
Yeah.
Oh, so we're gonna bond money, not knowing whether or not we actually have a budget.
Right.
How much money do you manage when you were? How much money did you manage when you were in the military?
Oh God. 60, 70 million.
Right. Crazy. Did you ever have a budget? Did you have to have it in on time, and actually you have to like?
Yeah, I was a Defense Travel Systems budget analyst.
So you actually could figure out a budget.
Yeah, I still do that.
Right.
now.
And you can make sure that it was in on time and everything.
Yeah, you have to allocate the funds.
Have you ever said, hey, you know what? We're not going to put our budget in on time. We're going to wait like 6 months to see if we need extra money. But in the meantime, we're going to borrow extra money beforehand just to make sure we don't need extra money.
No, in January we start working on our budget for the new FY, which
Right.
is in October. I don't know why they don't run on a fiscal year budget anyway.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's.
I've never understood
I think
this.
that's the goal.
Like,
I mean,
Keith,
I
you got
think we just do it that late.
Yeah.
Right? Have you ever run a business where you go like, hey, no, I'm just going to borrow $3 million, not knowing if I'm going to need any money next year?
Nope, that's
Like-
not how it works. And it's like, so you're talking about like, the bar and all that, not knowing. I remember I had a guy that worked for me that he was supposed to order, his job was purchasing, right? So he would have to purchase different. Well, this item here, I know I might need 1,000 cases of it. But in case I run out of that, I'm going to order a backup of. But he would order a backup of a different product. I'm like, why would you order the wrong product when you're planning to be short on what it is that you have? I mean, this makes no sense to me. And he literally couldn't comprehend what I was asking of him. I'm like, just order the right amount. Like, well, I don't understand what. And if you're going to order extra for the same thing. Why are you ordering? But that's kind of the same thing. It's here. We're just going to borrow money to make sure.
I have a better idea. In your business, you turn around and you go like, oh, well, I'm buying liquor. I go like, well, we're 86 that. We just don't have it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
In our budget, we just go like this. Sorry, we didn't have that in the budget. Talk to us next year.
Yeah.
Right, we don't have that in the budget. We'll if there's anything left in our capital budget, we'll figure it out. Or if we have a general fund somewhere, we'll figure out if there's something that like you have an actual need.
Yeah.
But as a matter of borrowing, not knowing whether or not you don't know how to budget properly, that's not a fiscally sound way of running a town.
So that's it for the council recap. We are an hour and 26 minutes in, so
slightly under
that
time.
Yeah,
yeah, we had 3 hours allotted or something like that.
I figured we'd bang this one out in less than an hour, then go on to the Inside GT Talk podcast right afterwards.
Yeah.
So an hour and 26 minutes in, folks. If you haven't subscribed already, what are you waiting for? Hit subscribe, hit the notification bell, because we generally don't come out on a schedule. We kind of do it we release them usually every other Saturday.
Just turn notifications on and
turn it on. That way you know. And restoregT.com for to find everything. And you'll find links to our Twitter, our Facebook, we got anything else?
I don't know.
Yeah, we're all over the place.
Thanks to our guests for coming out today.
Yes.
You guys want to say goodbye?
Thank you,
Thanks,
guys.
boys.